They were called Ekamu and were believed to be a vengeful or evil spirit who had, upon death, not been buried properly, and thus escaped to torment and suck the life out of people who were still living. Welcome to my channel, Enlightenment in the Darkness. Vampires were first mentioned in literature that dates back to the 18th century. The first true vampires actually date back to the ancient Babylonians and the year 4000 BC. Vampires caused hysteria in the 18th century, so much so that people actually took to digging up the bodies of dead people to kill them again, making sure they could not come back to haunt them. This actually led, in some countries, to laws and statutes being passed to prevent people digging up bodies and causing them any more harm. Vampires were popular on film, further increased their legend. One of the most notable film vampires was F.W. Murnau's epic silent film Nosferatu, made in 1922, though the first real film depiction was in the 1912 movie The Secrets of House No. 5. Still to this day, the most memorable portrayal of Dracula was by the actor Bela Lugosi, and this, for many, is the defining characterization and the most recognizable image of him. Vampires feeding on the flesh of the living. It was therefore not uncommon for suspected female vampires to be buried with a rock or brick in their mouth to prevent them from coming back to life and eating the flesh of the dead. It was commonly believed during the time of the plague in the 17th century that vampires would do this, so during this time the practice became even more common. The first mention of the name vampire came in 1734, a first notable mention of the word vampire came in the 18th century in a book called Travels of Three English Gentlemen, though to this day, nobody knows who authored the book. However, the term dates back much further than that, possibly to the 17th century Slavic countries, and is believed to be roughly translated from an ancient word meaning witch. Dolmens were used to stop vampires rising. A dolmen is an ancient stone monument which has been found placed over the graves of many suspected vampires, particularly in areas in and around northern Europe. Archaeologists believed they were installed over the graves to stop the evil spirits rising from the body once the vampire was dead. These monuments looked like stone tables and were often incredibly heavy. It is believed that Prince Charles is distantly related to Count Dracula, otherwise known as Vlad of Wallachia, and you might even be more familiar with his other name, Vlad the Impaler, an evil 15th century ruler known for his brutal treatment of people, often skinning them alive. His own name means son of Dracula, and he was murdered in 1476. Though his tomb has been located and since found to be totally empty. To this day, nobody knows where his mortal remains lie. To rid yourself of a vampire. Eat a vampire? Vampire facts suggest that it was commonly believed the only way to rid yourself of a suspected vampire attack was to actually eat or drink the remains of a vampire. This was done in one of two ways: by turning the ashes of a vampire into a hot drink to imbibe, or to bake the blood of a dead vampire into a loaf of bread and eat it. There are rare medical conditions that vampires suffer from, believe it or not. It once again gives another link to the British royal family. A little-known condition called porphyria said to not only have affected King George III, but also latterly Princess Margaret, something that many people who are believed to have been vampires have suffered from. This illness causes excessive hair growth, intense sensitivity to sunlight, and in some patients, teeth may end up stained a reddish-brown color. Vampires have been said to have been in existence since ancient Babylonian times, though they were known as Eckamu rather than the name we're commonly familiar with. The most common believed traits of the vampire is their ability to survive the death of the physical body, sustaining their undead life by drinking fresh human blood, have fangs, sleep in coffins during the day, and that they could be hurt by sunlight, objects of religion, crosses, holy water, and garlic. The most commonly accepted means of killing a vampire is exposure to sunlight, beheading, piercing wooden stake in the heart, burning, entering a church or holy ground, and covering it with holy water. Some of the more exotic powers that vampires can sometimes get in folklore tales is the ability of flying, transforming into mists or animals, magical persuasion over humans, and ability to change their size and weight. They cannot enter your home unless you invite them in. The word vampire was derived from Hungarian word vampir, which was given to a good or most often evil spirit who possessed the body of deceased in the first 40 days of their death. With several hundred years of their presence among us, vampires managed to inspire people into the creation of many legendary tales, works of art, and explanations. How can they walk among us? From such abundance of information, we extracted some of the most important facts about vampires that you need to know. Mass vampire hysteria that ruled over the Europe in 18th and 19th century gave birth to many laws regarding burying of the dead, which in the end gave birth to many famous works of fiction and art with vampires as the main theme. Practices of rearranging the skeleton to burying the corpse face down were some ways of deterring these vampires from rising from their graves. Garlic is rich in a compound called allicin, which is a known and proven antibiotic, known to repel many different types of germs and viruses. Vampire facts indicate people believed garlic would protect them from vampire attack. Brides would carry it under their wedding dresses to keep them safe, and sailors believed it would protect them from shipwreck and vampire attack when sailing. So what are your thoughts about vampires and their legends? Please feel free to comment your thoughts below. I would like to thank you for joining me here today on my channel, Enlightenment in the Darkness. Please like and subscribe to my content. Many blessings to the rest of your day.